So just a few questions for you today. There is a lot of criticism about Georgia reopening. How much has Georgia been a case study, and do you think the decision to reopen when we did was the right one?
President Trump and I strongly support Governor Kemp's decision to safely and responsibly reopen Georgia, and in many ways Georgia's been leading the way. Hospitalizations are continuing to decline, and we're continuing to watch this economy start to show signs of real life. In fact, today now all 50 states have begun the process of reopening, but it was Georgia now the better part of a month ago that began that process, and it's a great credit not just to your governor but to the people of Georgia that are demonstrating that even as we work every day to put the coronavirus in the past, that we can start to return to our normal lives of work and worship, enjoying the great outdoors, and so all credit goes to the people of Georgia and the great leadership you have here.
Awesome, thank you. And it is a big election year, and many of us here in Georgia are having to fill out mail-in ballots, probably a first for a lot of people who want to go out. How is your administration encouraging voters, specific black voters, to get out and go vote amid all the controversy with Joe Biden's recent comments?
Well, today for me was very inspiring. And to be here in Atlanta, to be at a bank that serves predominantly the minority community, and to be able to talk about not just the Paycheck Protection Program that has been assisting minority businesses and businesses through the course of this coronavirus pandemic, but also to be able to talk today about how proud we are that because of the policies that President Trump had advanced in the last 3.5 years, before this epidemic hit, we had the lowest unemployment rate ever recorded for African Americans. Working with Senator Tim Scott and bipartisan leaders in Congress, we created opportunity zones by the thousands in inner cities across this country. And it was this president that was able, again, to work on a bipartisan basis to pass criminal justice reform. First time in decades that we've been able to bring real reform to our criminal justice system, reforms that have been called for by leaders in both parties for years. And so the totality of our record, we believe, is a compelling one, and we look forward to carrying that message to the African American community and speaking about ways that we can continue not only just to bring our economy back after we see our way through this coronavirus epidemic, but how we ensure greater prosperity and greater security for African Americans and every American for the next 4 years.
Thank you. And last question today. Governor Kemp has offered Georgia to host the RNC should North Carolina back out of that decision. What would it take to get here, especially with the pandemic still, in Georgia?
Well, as President Trump noted earlier this week, we go through many, many months of preparing for a national convention in either political party. And at this point, states like Georgia, like Texas, like Florida are much farther along on safely reopening. But we're speaking with the governor of North Carolina and the leadership in that state to see what their guidance would be about having a convention. But we really do believe, as we see cases declining across the country, we see hospitalizations declining across the country, and most importantly, over the last many weeks, we've seen a steady decline in the fatalities to the coronavirus. We know that we are well on our way to putting this epidemic in the past. And President Trump and I are absolutely committed that as we go into the summer, as we prepare for the election this fall, that we're going to be able to have a national convention, whether it's in North Carolina or Georgia, Florida, Texas, or wherever, that's going to be able to bring people together, celebrate what we've accomplished as a nation over the last 4 years, and what more we can do to make America great again in the next 4 years.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victoria.